So back to our Nexen tire cases that we discussed our previous session. We found that three strategy was really powerfully helped the company to become really high profitable firms in tire industry. The first one was a focus strategy, what I call focus strategy. They only targeted a SUV and small car tires rather than like luxuries and kind of a sedan or something else. Instead of by giving up that other types of car, they only produce SUV and small cars tires for these vehicles. So that was the first strategy. The second strategy was that like a good management labor relationship, maintaining good human resource management, right? We found that for 24 years, the company didn't have any like problem with the employees, workforces. If you really manage the company, like global firms, for instance, like having no labor dispute, almost really not possible. You always have a problem with your say, employees, always say struggling between management and employees, but Nexen Tire didn't have that kind of a problem. So a very good management, human resource management strategy was the number two competitive strategy of Nexen Tire. And the third one is a very differentiated marketing strategy. Right. We discussed like the spending for marketings tend to be very huge. You have to spend lots of money, so which may be use of your profit because of that marketing spending. But next entire case, they thought about like efficiency use of marketing cost. Right. How the firm were able to say. Spend less on marketing, but they find like a huge impact. So they did it by focusing on like North America mostly, and also they give up like marketing for promoting, sponsoring like racing cars, right? So they were able to save a lot of marketing cost, but instead like sponsoring more like public sports. Quite less expensive than like sponsoring a racing car industry, but in terms of sales promotion, it was quite effective. So the question was how the Nexen was able to end up with those three strategies, right? So we just tried to trace how come the company conclude with that three strategies. Unless you really directly ask to the top management of the Nexen Tire, we just don't know exactly how they conclude with that three strategies. But by going through a process of strategic management, you can roughly estimate what kind of process the company actually have taken and then end up with those strategies. So that is what all about the strategic management. So simply say, it is all about strategic management process and what you are actually learning in strategic management. Like in case of Nexen Tire's three competitive strategy, we can say for sure that the company first definitely analyze the company's internal environment and external environment. So internal environment means that the company's internal strength, while the external environment of Nexen certainly what kind of say industry condition the companies are now under. Right? The tire industry very much competitive, as we said. Like the Nexen does have a strong competitor like Kumho Tire and Hanguk Tire in domestic market, but in other country in global market, they have Bridgestone from Japan and also Michelin from France. A lot of say, competitors. So how they analyze that external market and what kind of, say, conclusion finding they had from those internal and external analysis. So what you are going to learn is that if you are a person in the company, then how can you conduct the internal and external involvement analysis? So actually what you learn, like briefly learn here and more especially learn in higher, say, courses about internal and external analysis is exactly what company people does in their practice. So learning this one can be very useful all the time. We know that this kind of internal analysis and external analysis is not really perfect, providing not really perfect solution to everybody. A lot of limitation of this framework. However, still a lot of widely used methods of this internal analysis and external analysis that I'm going to introduce now. So based on your conclusion of this analysis, certainly the company should find what should be their strategic intent and mission. So we will define later, a strategic intent simply means that your determination of how you use your resource, right? Like next entire case, they certainly had their resource. That may be like their human resource. It may be their, say, a very good human resource management ability, or it may be the company's a very unique skills, ability, capability, or whatever. So the point of the strategic intent is you should determine how you are going to use your, say, valuable resource. So resource here means what company has. It can be something tangible resource or intangible resource. The question is how you are going to use it. Simply say that if you have a lot of cash, and strategic intent may say that we only use our cash for R&D. If you determine that one in your strategic intent, certainly your strategic, say, decision for money spending certainly more focus on money spending on R&D rather than using it for marketing and other operation and manufacturing. And mission simply means like how you are going to, say, achieve your goal in the longer term. Right? So that grand picture certainly cannot be made without your, say, knowing who you are, without knowing where you are located in your industry. Right? So I think achieving this one is actually if you have done like first two steps here, then I can say that you already have done like the half of your, say, strategic management process. Regarding, based on this one, you set up what specific action you choose and then how you do it in practice. So like the decision for your choice of action and how to do it without correctly doing this one, I think the remaining part cannot be really pointless. So that's why the first two is really, really important. So let's then talk about what is external analysis and what is internal analysis. I think a lot of you guys already have know well about or heard about SWOT analysis. So simply SWOT, where is SWOT? Simply SWOT analysis simply means a process of you combining your internal analysis and external analysis. Like if you separate your internal analysis on one hand and external analysis on the other, then you may not have really concrete conclusion or implication. So your job is you have to combine it, right? You're finding from external, you're finding from internal. By combining together, you end up with some clear message of your business current status and your business future direction. So SWOT analysis, simply the process of combining your internal and external analysis. Right? Let's talk about, SWOT analysis. I know that lots of students actually submit paper containing their own SWOT analysis. But I think that's not really what I found was that's not really exactly what SWOT analysis is supposed to be. So let's briefly also talk about how actually SWOT analysis is actually done in the real practice. Let's talk about then first what is external analysis. Let's say that you are tire business, you're running tire business. You own, say, CEO of the tire business. Is tire business really familiar to you? May I use some other business? Yeah, let's look at like tire business. Yeah, I have an example of CJ. Let's say that you are, say, doing a movie theater business, like CJ, what is it? CGV, right? Megabox, and just choose CGV, right? CGV, am I right? CVG or CGV? CGV, right? I mostly download movie, right? But going to the movie theater, so CVG, what? CGV, right? CGV, there's a movie chain. So let's talk about you. Let's say you run CGV movie theater, and that big movie theater chain. And certainly you may be worried like your profit, right? Your say like more market shares and your future of your business. So for reducing that your worry, you have to say set the strategies. So the first job for you is that you have to do your external analysis of that CGV, right? So what is external analysis of CGV? Simply, external analysis simply means that you have to find out what are the opportunities and threats of that movie business, movie theater business. Right? Say, let's say you run movie theater. So what are the opportunity? So what's the definition of opportunity here? Because of that opportunity, you may expect, like you can say, increase more profit, earn more money and market share. If you list up some of the opportunity, what would be? While what would be the threat? Because of that threat, you may be worrying that your movie business may be keep losing, losing the attraction of the movie audience and people and less moviegoers and so on. So what may be the threat may cause that kind of, say, decreasing your market share? Downloads. What? Downloads. So for me, yeah, yeah, downloads. A lot of internet, say, movie providers. So yeah, you don't really need to go to the movie theater, right? You can see a lot of movie from the internet providers, right? So then maybe threat. What else? What may be the threat or what may be the opportunity? You have to list up.
Other movie theaters.
Exactly. What?
Like
Megabox.
or Lotte Cinema.
What?
Lotte Cinema.
Lotte Cinema, right? So another movie theater. So so you have to audience have a lot of choice, right? So which movie theater they go, right? So so then maybe the threat. A lot of movie theaters out there. So then maybe threat. What are then the opportunities? So we found already two important threats here. So what about the opportunities? like CJ, when you can think about a lot of like cases here. Say if you have a very say start to making movie by yourself, for instance. If CJ, CGB start to make movie by themselves, that can be the opportunity, right? Rather than just playing movie, you make your movie and then you play it in your theaters. That can be a huge advantage, right? So if other movie theater company don't do it, then you are already a very better market positioned for that sense. Then maybe the opportunities. Or what else? So the point, because of the time here, you have to think about what are the opportunities for your business and what are the threats to your business in that context of movie theaters. So simply external analysis means you have to list up, right? What are the opportunities and what are the threats? But the point is that if you have a certain kind of a framework, then you don't really need to think a lot about opportunity and threats by consuming your hours or days, right? So if you have some theory or framework in your brain, then you may automatically think about this may be category of the opportunity side, this may be the categories of the threat side. So I will talk about what kind of a framework may help you to list up opportunity side and threat side. And the point here, again, opportunities and threats is something that comes from outside, not comes from or created your inside, right? So please no mistake about this one. So opportunities and threats, it should be something exists out there, not inside your organization. So just make sure to list up that opportunity and threat. So in order to say external analysis or list of opportunity and threats, of course you have to scan, monitor, assess. Assess here means whether what you found was really the opportunities or say a threat, right? You may say that like providing a delicious popcorn may improve your say revenue for your movie theaters. You have to assess whether that assumption is really right one. Some people may say that providing popcorns were not really related to the movie theaters revenue, or some people say yes, providing good snacks help make happy the audience, so they may attend more movie theaters. So you have to assess whether your assumptions of the opportunities and threats are right or wrong, really necessary one. And forecasting simply means that if that's if your opportunities listed or a threat you point out really impacting your business, what will be the future of your business in 3 or 4 years, or say in 10 years. So you have to estimate something by using some numbers, figures. So that's what external analysis. So as I mentioned, like when you list up opportunities and threats, there are actually 4, as you see here, different lenses to use to list up that opportunities and threats. The first one is you have to look at a general environment. What is general environment? We know what it is, right? So say if you are the movie business manager, owners, then you have to look at general environment of movie business, movie industry. What would be the general environment? Probably government regulation may be part of the general environment. Say government impose a strict law, right? say government announced that no woman in movie, then certainly I'm sure that nobody here will attend that movie, right? So you have to look at the government regulation. If the government may impose a very strict something, rules, regulation on the movie, that may impacting your revenue. Right? So government regulation you have to look at on one hand. What else? Just think about what, right? What kind of general involvement may affect the movie industry. So, so to list up opportunity and threat, you may use a general involvement analysis. While you may use also, on the other side, the opposite side here, the industry analysis, 산업 분석. Right? If you see a lot of, say, analyst report from bank, investors, they produce a lot of paper, what they call a industry report, 산업 분석, right? So if you read the industry report, a lot of, say, fancy analysis actually there. But however, the table of contents simply say of that industry analysis are quite simple, right? When you choose like industry analysis approach for your external analysis, you should talk about the story of 5 factors, right? So simply talking about those 5 factors are what you call a industry analysis. So let's talk about what those 5 factors a few minutes later. While also you may look at your opportunity side or threat size by looking at your competitors. Somebody here say that there are megabucks, right? And also there are, what else? What kind of other movie theater? Lotte Cinema or a computer, say, download some internet movie provider. So those are the competitors. So by looking at how your competitors are actually behaving in the movie theater business industry, you may end up with some, say, opportunities and threats. Finally, strategic group analysis. I'm not really sure if strategic group analysis may be, say, relevant to the movie business here. But the point of the strategic group analysis is that you just choose, like car business, like car companies, for instance, Hyundai. Who are the competitor of Hyundai? Ford, probably, is the Rolls-Royce is competitor of Hyundai? No, they are actually choosing different market, right? So yeah, they are a competitor, but not exactly a direct competitor. So strategic group analysis means that you choose this day 1,000 competitors, so you're just grouping them, right, by using a particular product as a unit of analysis. Let's say that you say try to analyze Sonata or say Genesis. So then who are the say competing product of the Genesis? So you know what I'm saying. So in this case, the competitor is not really the company, it is a product, right? So you're just grouping various products by their, say, characteristic, and you choose the closest product item that match to your, say, product to compare, and then analyze, say, how they are different or similar. So by that comparison, you can say what are the opportunities and what are the threats. So the point here, like listing threats, opportunities sounds simple. However, if you choose, say, wrong opportunities, if you choose wrong threats, Or if you choose a not important opportunities as a priority, then simply the remaining analysis of yields are simply useless, right? So the point is you have to choose the right factors in right important order. So that's the point. So that's why like the internal analysis, like the external analysis, is not really the job by one or two experts. So it's kind of a group working. A lot of experts in the company, like Nexen case, or say movie CJ, the movie company, the key person may gather together and they may do the say this kind of analysis. Let's go back to the CGV case. In order to list up their opportunities and threat, which what they call a external analysis, let's say that CGV have chosen the industry analysis. So I mean, this is just hypothetical example. I just really don't know how they did it, but I just found something from the internet. How industry analysis of CGV may talk about the regarding the if you choose general environment analysis method for your external analysis, say business studies, say provide you like what they call a pastel analysis. So pastel analysis simply means actually kind of a framework for you to do the general environment analysis. So pastel here, PESTEL, simply representing here political factor, economic factor, social factors, and so on, right? So out of many general involvement, these 6 particular general involvements tend to impact the company's say business. So the company should look at how these 6 general involvements may impacting the companies, influencing the company's business. Like say, like back to the movie theater business case, just think about how this one may impacting the business. Like political factor, for instance. What kind of political factors may be impacting the movie theater business? Not much, right? In politically chaotic period like this day, people tend to upset. So they go to movie theater more, so which is good. So yeah, not really influential to your business. Then go to the next stage, economic factors. What kind of economic factors impacting the movie theater business? So economic factors, mostly your say income level, or say employment rates, those kind of figures, right? The size of household spending, and so on. So does this economic factors really impacting you in the movie theaters? Yeah, like in recession, let's say that movie theater business tend to increase more, say, revenue, right? So in recession, nothing much to do because people tend to have not that much money to spend. So probably watching movie may be some of the very few alternative. So in recession time, then you as the movie theater business owner, it is quite good time. That means now if you say this is time of economic recession, then you should something do for improving your business at this moment, because you assume that this is economically a recession period, so likely to get more, say, revenue, increase more revenue and profit. So your strategy should be something related to that economic factors, right? What would be the possible choice? Like early bird, say, ticket price. Like if you like watching movie all in the morning, you only pay half. Then maybe kind of a promotion. Or late moviegoers, say the last hours of the movie, probably you also may ask a half price of the ticket. So just by looking at what kind of economic condition you are, so we may have, say, a unique strategy for that one. So likewise, just check conditions of this one. And if any particular conditions really peculiarly impacting your business, then that's where you have to think about the strategy, right? And if some other factors not really related to your business, then just skip to the next stage. What about then the industry analysis? Yeah, before saying that, these are some of the, say, items to check if you, say, choose general environment analysis for your listing up of your opportunities and threats. What about then, say, industry analysis? The second framework that you can use to identify your threats and the opportunities of your business environment. So, like what do you call a 산업 분석 or industry analysis? By estimating the power of these five, that's all about industry analysis, simply say. Back to the movie theater business, let's estimate what are the power of the threat of new entrant. Like CJCGV, right, in that movie theater business, do you think that jumping into that movie theater business by somebody else would be easier or difficult, or simply say, would that be a very high entry barrier? How do you think? Do you think that some other conglomerate may start their another new movie theater business becoming your competitors? Is entry barrier high or low? That's the questions, right? In back to CJCGV case, yeah, we have two competitors, strong competitors, Lotte Cinema and the what is Megabox. Are you expecting more competitors like that big scale of the movie theater companies? You say, who say no? Why? So that's your, say, reasoning, right? So that's quite enough. We have quite matured market here, and we have quite enough players here. So no more chance to have more additional, say, movie theater companies, right?
Because it's not profitable.
So that's what it said, right? So then you may say, if you are one of the analysts there, then you may argue that the power of potential entry would be very low because of this or that reason. Right? But somebody maybe object your ideas, just like coffee franchise, right? Like when Starbucks came in and when our other like coffee franchise start their business, a lot of people say that coffee market here are quite big enough. No more markets. But still more and more coffee chains actually open up their restaurant here and their revenues are keep increasing. So probably somebody else may object your ideas. So the point is, how can you evaluate or estimate the power of entry barrier here? Right. So I don't know. So I'm just telling you what factor you have to consider. Threat of new entrants, their power. So if you say low, you have to justify your reasoning. If somebody else say yes, then they have to just justify, say yes, right? So the point is, whatever your say conclusion here, your strategy be something on that conclusion, right? You say that, let's say that CEO, no entry barrier, because the market is already filled with the full, right? Enough movie theaters. Then you may move to the next, say, analysis without preparing any action upon that threat of new entry. But who knows, right? In say 5 years, suddenly the USA, say, mega big movie chain company may attack Korea, then you may lose your market share because you didn't actually prepare any reaction for that one. So it is actually you, but the point is that you have to consider the power of potential threat. It's very difficult analysis. What about that threat of a substitute? The download, the people like me, I just watch TV, movie by downloading something, right, from computers rather than going to the movie theaters. What? Like 4 years ago, I think, like 4 a.m. I was up here, my office, kind of stressful. So in order to relax, I just went to the movie theater alone, Friday night, and I met my student there. So student asked me, "What are you doing on this Friday night alone?" So kind of embarrassing, right? Watching moving is like so. Anyway, so since then, I'm very hesitating, right, to go to the movie all the time. So, but thanks to the computer and internet, I can see the movie at home, right? So that can be the threat of substitute. What else? Game, right? People tend to watch less movie because they have a lot of other choice to do in their leisure hours. That can be the substitute. So, if you are the say CJ manager, top managers, how are you? How can you deal with that potential? What are the power of potential threat of that substitute? Do you think that threats are powerful or don't need to worry about at the moment? So what's your conclusion? Powerful. So if you say powerful and if you say CEO say agree, then you should prepare something, right? So the point of this that you estimate the power of this one. So all these 5 powers are something that may destroy you, right? So your job is to decrease the power of these 5, right? So your way of decreasing that power of those fives are what you call a strategy. So that's where you, so deciding, choosing strategy starts from based on the estimating these five power. So that's why we call this a five forces framework. Right? So that's why I call also industry analysis. Movie theater business. Say a lot of instrument that actually we use, a lot of way to watch movie. Even our using your mobile phone, you can watch movie, right? So it can be a huge threat to movie theater businessmen. So how can you react that threat? That is a big question, right? So without really preparing that power of that huge threat, simply you are losing your business. So strategy is something, you should do something on that high threat of the substitute players. So that is actually your threat. The area you have to think about your strategy, right? What about the supplier? Who are the supplier of the movie business, movie theater business? What? We are the supplier. Are you making movie? Studios, right? So movie makers, right? So so you have to see are these movie makers, film makers, are really the threat to you? What does this mean? We are here talking about bargaining power, right? They are making movie and you display their movie, right? So who has the bargaining power?
The movie makers.
What?
The makers.
The distributor of the movie, or so the movie theaters are having more power, right?
Yes.
So which means that supplier, the movie makers are weaker, right? So why?
Because it's too big.
Yeah, as you said, big, right, compared to movie makers.
Even they themselves are the movie makers.
So as I said,
They
yeah,
make
they also already making movie by themselves. So in terms of power of the suppliers, in this case, movie makers, film makers, you really don't need to worry much about, right? As far as you really importing a lot of, say, Hollywood movie, for instance. I mean, even Hollywood movie case, they have to ask you to display their movie, right, in Korea.
Because
That's why.
CGV sometimes choose not to show.
Yeah, so there's CGV a power even over to the like Hollywood movie, right? So that's why Tom Cruise visit here every time, right? To display his movie more screen in Korean market, right? So who are the customers? We. Right? Are this threat to you? Who has more power? Customers or movie theaters? Who has more? Customers. Why?
You can just download and just.
So yeah, you can download. If they upset you, just don't go there, right? So we have more power, customers, right? So customers are threat to movie theater business. So they have to do something on the customers, right? What about the rivalry? Somebody here say that the Lotte Cinema and Megabox, very strong rivals. Does the CGV has a more power over to the Megabox or Lotte Cinema? Do you think that you can really differentiate which one is better movie theater or not better movie? Can you really tell the difference?
They're pretty much even.
Pretty much same. Yeah. For me, just movie theater, right? So it's a dark room, right? So, so the degree of the intensity of the rivalry, you can truly say that it is very strong, right? So it is a threat to you, right? So you should do something. So the point of the CGV is that you have to estimate the degree of power here. If, say, the power of suppliers are not that strong, then just don't need to do something on this one. But if the power of here, there, or there is strong, then you have to prepare something, right? So that's your strategies. So again, back to next entire case, what was their strategy? Say focus strategy, marketing differentiation strategies, good management of their labor unions. So they have chosen 3, right? Certainly, this analysis may lead them to choose those particular strategies. You can say that. So, I mean, this is how actually CJ, CGV actually did for themselves. So this kind of a five forces analysis or industry analysis actually kind of a very basic job that you should not skip. So this is how CJ look at themselves externally. Regarding the, sorry for Koreans here, so no exam, right? So sorry for Koreans, but I already explained. Like, regarding the suppliers, I say that, somebody here say that the CJCGV even making movie by themselves, so what you call vertical integration. So they even make their own movie and they have a lot of movie chains. So movie makers beg you, not you beg them to display movie, right? So we have more bargaining power over the movie makers. But a little bit weakness for that part gradually in the near future will be like there are highly likely of lots of multiplex movie theaters everywhere. Then dissatisfied movie makers may not choose you. Instead, they may choose other multiplex movie theaters. So at the moment, the CGV think that they have power over the suppliers, but not so sure in the future. What about the customers? Say, as far as the movie theater does have a very good locational advantage, like where? 왕십리, 명동, right? What else? A very good location, unless it is located in a very good place, no, say, kind of the audience are not really attractive, right? So no lock-in effect, right? No reason to show loyalty to a particular movie theater. So the customer does have a power, not CGV. What about the power of potential new entry? Our students here say that the initial investments are quite large. So what do you call it? A sunk cost. The initial investment size are quite large, and to cover that cost would take a lot longer time period, right? So even if somebody has the idea, they maybe not easily enter into that movie theater business, which means that the entry barriers are quite high. So CGV not really worry about the entry barriers. Substitute like DVD, online movie, and a musical play, a lot of other entertainment things actually can replace moviegoers to their say show, which may be a threat. And rivalry, as we already discussed, that what they provide are exactly the same, right? What they provide, what their service are exactly also the same. Their price are also very much the same. So not much differentiation at the moment. So which may increase the rivalry competition. So So the intensity of competitions are very high. So this is how the movie theaters, especially the CJ, CGV, analyze or understand their external, say, involvement. So the point is here. So actually, this kind of five forces analysis actually applied everywhere. So the one thing for sure is that the more you have a high power as a threat, the more you have a threat with a higher power, the profitability of that industry tend to go down. Right? So just looking at here, already a lot of threats. The power of threats are very kind of a high. So if you look at like profitability of the movie business, theater business, they are not really making a lot of money. So their sizes are getting bigger, larger, so you may think that the movie business, theater business are quite good, but it is not. Airline industry, for instance, if you look at the degree of power of the airline industry in terms of these five forces, all of them are pretty much strong. So that's why airline industry tend to rank the bottom in terms of profitability compared to all others. What's then the what are the example of the industry you think very profitable? Airline, movie theater, hotel, very bad. All of their forces very strong. So the more you're strong of this kind of threat, the chances of you having good profitability tends very low. Then what's the company that has high profitability in general? What? Software, yeah. Software tend to a little bit higher, above average kind of profitability. So if you look at like software, IT, software industry, from the big picture, if you look at like forces of them, here 5 forces there, not really that much strong. What else? Clothing, not that strong actually. Not really profitable because some firms doing good, but what I'm saying is on average, clothing business not really a profitable business. Exactly, pharmaceutical or medicine, very high profitable, always number like top 3. So on average, as well as individual company as well. So like if you look at like 5 forces of that particular sector, you see lots of threats are quite weak. Right. So you can roughly estimate your external condition if you're simply looking at those 5 factors. However, if you want to understand or see more precise external condition, you better look at your competitors directly. So actually, out of those 5 forces, certainly the power of competitors are the most biggest threat, certainly, right? So having said that, that's why some of the firms only look at the competitors rather than the others. So then that's why some firms prefer competitor analysis instead of, say, rather broad analysis to understand their marketing external conditions. So the point again, you know who are your competitors. Like Megabox is your competitors, right? Lotte Cinema is your competitors. Then how can you analyze the power of your competitors? That's other questions. who are more powerful between you and Megabox? How can you evaluate? What? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, spy, right? So understand the competitors, right? Like understand North Korea, right? Is our enemy, right? So I think that North Korea is not is kind of our enemy, right? Competitors. So to understand, say, North Korea, so we see a lot of satellite and we see a lot of also data, a lot of information gathering, but probably, who knows, we may send a lot of spies to North Korea, right? The USA may send a lot of spies. So like same things happen in the the commercial sector. So to understand the competitor more precisely, correctly, deep inside, you may send a spy. So you send a spy, and what's the job of the spy?
Valuable information.
Valuable information. So what's the valuable information?
Like their secret marketing plans.
So secret marketing, right? So yeah, who is the girlfriend of the competitor CEO? That's not really the information, right? So you send a spy, collect the key information. So what are the key information? That's the key point, right? Yeah.
Maybe we need to find what the competitor's next step is going to be.
Yeah, the next step, exactly. What's inside the mind of the, say, top management of the competitors? You never know, right? Unless you kidnap him, right? So that's why the competitor analysis is key, essential. But conducting it is really hard to describe in practice. So let's talk about the what is competitor analysis. If you just try to analyze competitors, which area you have to look at. Right, so let's talk about that one. Like if you look at like financial say data, like competitors' revenue, profit, market share, you can find it from internet, right? From their home pages, website. You need more than that. So what you really need to know for that in that sense, we just talk about that one.